Welcome to the second Bitesize webinar today in our series on climate action. You might recall from our first webinar, if you managed to attend that in December, that we gave a broad overview of the support that was available, along with some tips to stay in the loop and where to go for further information. If you've not done so already, I would highly recommend watching that on our YouTube channel, which we can share at the end of this session today. So this webinar today focuses more on the Visit Scotland tourism and event specific tools on our own pages, namely the Business Support Hub and how to navigate those sustainability pages. The idea today is just to point out what the information does and where to look for it, and to show what it does and doesn't do, essentially, and signpost you in the right direction. Today, it's not a bite-sized webinar on how to develop a climate action plan, actions, or how to reduce emissions. However, I will lightly touch on how our resources can help you do that and support you on your climate action journey. I will, however, direct you where to go, and if you want to learn more about that as well. What we will cover today is a recap of the Business Support Hub, leading on from our Part 1 webinar back in December, but we'll also go into that in a slight bit more detail, looking at an overview of the self-service sustainability pages on the Business Support Hub and how to navigate those better. What pages information might be useful to you on there, depending on your knowledge and experience, and where to start with those as well. And we'll also cover what tools are available to you on there to help you in developing your climate action plans or measuring your emissions as well. So you might recall from our previous webinar that we stated that our Business Support Hub was a one-stop shop for all sustainability advice on our sustainability pages. The same is still true now. The link is on the slides here when we share those, but you can find it with a quick browser search too, and we'll share those links after this session. The content on there is for all levels who are wishing to gain information quickly and effectively without lots of reading. It breaks down key terms and jargon into plain English. It's expert-fed content that can help you with a range of topics ranging from how to measure your carbon emissions and how to navigate net zero legislation. It's also handy as a quick reference guide on the topic when pulling together your sustainability plans. So you can drop us an email there if you need to about this as well via the site. The sustainability pages range in support. So we've designed those to cover you on a range of topics to do with net zero, climate change and sustainability. And we cover key net zero climate change ranging from that legislation, on how that impacts you when you're making your climate action plans, how to measure those carbon emissions. We also cover funding avenues and free programs of support, plus where to go for further info, which we've covered a bit more in the first webinar as well. So it would be good to look at that if you can as well. We'll cover useful tools and templates such as carbon calculators and planners, and we support you in helping break down what might be considered a short, medium or a longer and a higher cost action as well, and how to think about those through the site. It also offers redirection to broader detail on sustainable events and other holistic areas of sustainability and that broader responsible tourism piece. And as we focus today primarily on that environmental aspect. So we'll be updating this every year and adding new content, so watch this space. I would advise signing up to our business support newsletter for these updates. So one of the first things you will encounter on the main page is tabs to help you understand sustainability. This can be used by all levels. You might find as a more advanced user that you can check back and use it as a handy reference, or as a beginner just trying to learn those basics. So it's useful for that as well. And what we aim to do here is break down in short 5 to 8 minute reads some of the key things you might need to understand or consider when starting to approach the topic of sustainability and climate change. And this begins with the basics, including what net zero is, its relationship to climate change, and highlights key differences between terms such as carbon neutral and net zero, and how these relate to national net zero targets in Scotland and that we have in place. We then follow up with suggestions on how we can support that further, and how you can support those net zero targets on a national level as well. We have a section on net zero legislation as well, followed by what this means for you in the future, and it is followed by a glossary which breaks down the meanings and terms you will hear a lot, such as the meaning of responsible tourism, for example, and sustainability, quote unquote. So you can look at these if you find yourself getting unsure during your learning journey, or you need a quick reference, or if you're just starting out. So it's suitable for a range of levels as well. Once you've understood your journey as a beginner, or perhaps you are looking for inspiration or ideas as a more advanced user, then the develop your sustainability journey part of the site is a good fit for you. And it looks like this on the right hand side. And here we cover in more comprehensive detail how to measure your carbon impacts, along with a carbon methodology statement to show where we get those formulas from and how we verify that information as being correct, so you can have confidence in it. And once you've started to look at them, you should be able to consider how to build your climate action plans to reduce some of those emissions you've identified. However, you might want to start your plan first and develop that so that you can plan in your yearly emissions recordings year on year. Then you want to start to consider a range of actions after this point, and our free sustainability improvement pages will give you some tips and ideas on what actions are quick wins and which ones might take a bit longer for you to complete or might be a higher cost, as I mentioned earlier. If you are an event, you can use these pages, but as well, of course, they're suitable for a wide range tourism and event sector, but there are also links to further sector specific information for creating environmentally responsible events, and there's further resources there for you too, if that's applicable. And if you're interested in learning about how to promote responsible tourism in your business to your visitors and your followers, then there's also guidance here to link through the website. All of these can work together to make the basis of a strong year-on-year climate action plan to help support your environmental sustainability as a business. So support around our actions, we refer to this as sustainable improvements. So our improvement pages make up the bulk of actions that you could take, and they're split into 3 pages that you'll find on the site. The first is just to simply labeled how to make sustainable improvements, which is where we recommend going if you are a beginner, as this explains this in better detail and how to start to tackle or take those first actions to create business resilience or start to reduce those emissions. It tends to cover things that are more quick wins or that you can achieve quickly with little or no cost to you as a business. And we have also a page for midterm or sustainable improvements that tend to take a few more months to a few more years and may require a bit more investment or time. And so we've broken those down there for you too, allowing you to plan them into your future plans if you decide that those actions are right for you. And in the longer term, these tend to be higher cost actions that might take a longer amount of time to complete, depending on you and your financial means and situation, of course. So for example, this could involve transitioning your whole fleet to electric vehicles or installing solar panels. So these are things that are not expected you would do maybe straight away, but they're great if you can do them sooner, but it's something that you could plan for in the longer term, if that's even right for you in the first place. And starting off at the beginner level or going back to that, if you are more advanced and done some of these things already, helps you just sort of try and get to grips by planning in and conducting your audits and things like that. So there's something for everyone in here, whether you are using it as a quick reference, a learning tool, or simply just looking to refresh your knowledge. Something we're quite passionate about here is peer-to-peer learning and inspiration. So there's no better way to learn than from others. So that is why we have provided free climate action case studies on the site to help you think or see across different scenarios or specialisms and how they have approached sustainability in those businesses. We have tried to take a tour guide, heritage site and museum, and a hotel / brewery to give a wider range of tourism context for you to learn from. I'd recommend checking these out, as they've all started from scratch at some point, and they did a lot with very little to begin with, and they've built themselves up to the fantastic case studies we've seen here today. So that could be you, or you could be starting out doing that. So I think, looking at these and looking to your peers is definitely one way to go to help inspire action in your own business. So I'd like to briefly touch now on the tools that are available to you, and currently We have self-service tools that we created using Excel with a user-friendly interface. So these are quite simple to use, and all you need to do is follow the instructions. So we tested this with the industry users and made iterations based on their feedback at that time. So this was developed in early 2024, and you can find this on the Measure Your Carbon Impact section of the website. So we offer a carbon calculator here to measure your emissions. It's basic, downloadable, self-service tool. So you simply enter your name and your email, and we send it to you via email. And so we'll respond to that. And once you have it, you can work offline and at your own pace as well. So we also offer on that download, the same download as the Climate Action Planner and a workbook that's integrated into that, which is currently integrated, but you can use that independently, and you could ignore the calculator element, or vice versa. You could ignore the planner if you have one already, or want to take your own way and just use that calculator. So it's up to you, but it's a useful tool that you can leverage for your business. So this can be used at any stage, although it's a basic calculator in some ways. So although it's good and it's comprehensive in a lot of ways, it doesn't cover those broader scope 3 emissions, such as visitor travel and overnight stays. It considers mainly your own immediate business operations first. So we're currently in the process of sourcing a new calculator that will be accessed through our portal via our business support hub, for which you can register your interests. However, if you prefer not to do so, this option is also available for you to work offline, and you can download that and keep it on your own computer as well. So to explain the tool in a bit more detail, after you download it, there is an introduction page that also acts as a self-checklist you can tick, which explains the unit of measurement and where you can find that in your business. So for example, on your bills or etc. So when I've sort of showed this on the previous slide a wee bit, where on the how to get started function, and so there's a 3-stage process after this point to follow. So the first stage is you enter your emissions data next to the source, such as your electricity or heating oil. So that's just for an example on the left. And then on the second stage of that, which is in the middle, it breaks it down and shows you this distributed over energy, waste and transport. And you can see this year on year. So it breaks down those complex terms like scopes 1, 2 and 3 and breaks them into energy, waste and transport. And you can figure the scopes out later. So it allows you to do this over a 4-year period. Then you can either download a new form or move onto a new calculator that is coming down the road. So the third stage, you can then use this section independently of the calculator or as part of the process. So you can look at actions. So we pre-populated some of these for you with links to the relevant pages on the Business Support Hub. This planner is so you can put dates and targets there as well against, and it's basic, it's straightforward, but it does everything that you need it to do. And you need to get started if you're on a budget. And it links out the certain actions to specific parts of the Business Support Hub where you can find that information in a handy to use reference. So we're planning to upgrade these resources in the coming months. So I'd recommend watching this space. Finally, we've touched on what is coming and what's in the works for the first webinar, but I just want to discuss how these relate to the Business Support Hub content. Our new Climate Accelerator program is something I would recommend, particularly if you're a beginner, as it will put you in a strong position by accelerating your knowledge and action, leaving the process with a climate action plan and emissions benchmark in place that you can continue on your own using our self-service resources that I've just shown you as well. So we'll have more advanced tourism and events carbon calculator coming up. You would register for that, and if successful, it would be free to you, and that will be more comprehensive, and you would work on your data through the online software there. If you don't want to do that, then you can, of course, download the Excel sheet to work on yourself. So there's a couple of options there, but that new calculator will cover guest travel, will also emission sources around refrigeration, and a range of other sources that our self-service calculator currently doesn't cover. So it covers that in a lot more detail. It's not something you need straight away, but it's up to you which choice you make. There's also our climate adaptation manual for heritage tourism. It's also a lot of what we've spoken about today is about mitigation and that reduction of carbon emissions. as we did in the first webinar, but reducing the emissions and action. But equally important is adapting to climate change, as it may impact you physically and economically as well. So this guide is made for heritage tourism, and it's useful if you, even if you don't define as a heritage tourism business, because it helps you build a risk assessment as well. So there's a lot of learnings in there for the broader heritage and tourism sector. So if you work in and around heritage or have heritage building yourself, even though your product might not be heritage, this is one for you to look at. And we have a webinar about this and about adaptation for tourism coming on the 5th of February. So you can sign up to that in the link that we will share as well. So if you have your phone handy, here's the registration link for the Climate Accelerator program I mentioned. It's also accessible through the Business Support Hub. And this will be delivered by Climate Springboard at the Edinburgh Climate Institute, housed at the University of Edinburgh. So we have a cohort starting next week on the 20th at 9:30 a.m. It's over 3 sessions with a final 4th peer-to-peer learning session. And this is spread out over a 6-week period. The full times and details are on the link. And when you try to register, so you will also get it's also important to know you will also get 2 complimentary one-to-one sessions that you can use and book in your times before or after the program is complete to support you on unique issues that are applicable to you, and also grant applications and things like that if that's something you need help with. So you can sign up and pick a range of times and dates that suit you on there too. So this program is designed to help you with all the basics and or help you where you are at. So no matter your level, please just submit an expression of interest, and we will try to accommodate you on the right cohort. And if you're more advanced as well and you feel like maybe you might be more advanced, it's still worth registering, as we might run a more advanced cohort in the future. So it's important to know that you will also leave the programme with a certificate signed by Edinburgh Climate Institute at the University of Edinburgh, along with a badge that you'll be able to include on your website, your social media or marketing products as well, to show that you've done this and you've done these things to make your business more environmentally sustainable. You'll also become an alumni of, with a range of peers and forums, events and catch-ups through that programme as well. So I'd highly recommend doing it.